Hallo und willkommen zu Now German. Hi everyone. Hey C, how are you doing? Wie geht es dir?
Hey everyone. Hallo Gregor. Mir geht es gut. Und dir?
Mir geht es auch gut, danke. Wie
Wie-
geht es? Ja, und wie geht es Luna?
Es geht ihr gut.
Exactly. Und wie geht es Tobias?
Es geht ihm gut.
Es geht ihm gut. Yeah, exactly. That's actually the title of our lesson. Es geht ihm gut. And this is a bit tricky because it needs the dative. You can't just say es geht du gut or es geht ich gut or es geht er gut. Like in English, you wouldn't say he do well. You would say, no, in this case, the English comparison doesn't hold. All right, before I get tangled up with analogies that don't exist, let's look at our dialogue and I'll exactly explain you in German how you can say someone is doing well, you or they or whoever. Okay,
Wie geht es dir?
mir geht es gut, danke. Und dir?
Es geht mir sehr gut. Wie geht es deinem Bruder?
Naja, es geht. Er hat viel Arbeit.
Okay. Und wie geht es deiner Mutter?
Es geht ihr gut.
Toll. Und wie geht es deinem Vater?
Es geht ihm auch gut. Danke. All right, let's look at our vocabulary. I think it's a lot, but a lot of it you probably have already seen. So let's start with wie.
Wie?
That is how. And es geht.
Es geht.
That is it goes. And we just used that for the question, how are you? Wie geht es dir? And then the last part of this question is dir.
Dir.
That is you in the dative case, which we'll look at in the grammar afterwards. And mir.
Mir.
That is me, also in the dative case. And gut.
Gut.
That's good. And danke.
Danke.
Thanks. And then und.
Und.
That's and. Deinem.
Deinem.
That's your, also dative case. And this is masculine. And then we have der Bruder.
Der Bruder.
That's the brother. Naja.
Naja.
That's like, well, is kind of like an interjection. You might not learn that in a textbook very early, but it just makes your German sound quite natural if you can just use that. When you're thinking and you need a second, you can say, naja, or also you're kind of not sure about something. Like in this dialogue, for example, you're not sure he's doing very well or he's doing not so well. You can say, naja, es geht so. Naja, whatever.
Naja.
Exactly. And then we have viel.
Viel.
Which is a lot or also much. And then die Arbeit.
Die Arbeit.
That is work. And fun fact, this is related to the Japanese word arubaito, which means part-time work. But this is not a Japanese lesson, so let's go on. We have okay.
Okay.
That might be the easiest word we ever covered in Now German because it just means okay as well. And usually you need to do some kind of change with the pronunciation. So for example, last lesson we said plus, you need to say it plus, and minus, you need to say it minus. But this particular word, okay, we pronounce it 100% in an English way. You shouldn't try to Germanify it in some way. Okay?
Okay.
Nice. And then deiner.
Deiner.
That's your dative, but this time feminine. So masculine is?
Deinem.
Yes, and feminine is?
Deiner.
That's right. And then we have die Mutter.
Die Mutter.
That's a mother. And ihr.
Ihr.
That's her in the dative case. And toll.
Toll.
That is great. And recently we looked at a synonym. Do you know what is the synonym of toll in German?
Super.
Exactly. There are actually more synonyms, but these are two very common ones, toll and super. Okay, then we have der Vater.
Der Vater.
that is father. And ihm,
ihm,
that is him in dative case. And lastly, auch,
auch,
that is also. And this last word, auch, is very tricky because lots of my students, they keep saying also in German instead of auch, because this word also exists, but also in German, that means so in English. It means like therefore, thus. So if you can't say all, if you want to say also in German, you need to say auch. Make sure you don't get confused about these words. Anything difficult?
I think all good for vocabulary. Yeah.
All right, let's look at the dialogue one more time, and then we'll cover the dative, which we have a lot in this vocab as well.
Wie geht es dir?
Mir geht es gut, danke. Und dir?
Es geht mir sehr gut. Wie geht es deinem Bruder?
Naja, es geht. Er hat viel Arbeit.
Okay. Und wie geht es deiner Mutter?
Es geht ihr gut.
Toll. Und wie geht es deinem Vater?
Es geht ihm auch gut. Danke. All right. Now we look at one of the challenging topics that you need to master when you study German, and that is the case system. And this is just a very small first look at this. And you don't need to remember everything in detail, but I just want you to understand at this point how it works. And we start with the dative and these few examples because that's what you need to ask someone how they are doing and to also answer correctly. And so ich in dative, for example, is mir.
Mir.
Yeah, so if I ask you, wie geht es dir?
Mir geht es gut.
Exactly. So in that response, I am doing well. You hear we have to use mir. And also in my question, I don't say wie geht es du, but I ask wie geht es dir? How are you doing? And the reason we need the dative here is because of the verb. It's always another part of the sentence that tells us what we need to use. And in this case, the verb gehen, it goes together with the dative. And another thing to think about is that every sentence always has a subject. Someone is acting. And the acting person, the acting object, is always in the nominative case, as we call it. So for example, in English, that is I and you. In German, ich, du. For example, ich lerne Deutsch. What does that mean in English?
I learn German.
Yes, because I am the subject. I am in nominative case. That's the standard that we always learn first. And then if we have other objects, for example, ich lerne Deutsch mit dem Buch. Don't worry about the detail. This means I learn German with the book. Then I am the subject and everything else, like for example, the book is object in that sentence. Make sense?
Yes.
How many subjects and how many objects can there be in every sentence? Do you know?
I think subject should be one. And objects can be many.
Yes. Can be many, or actually also can be no objects at all. That's also possible. Like when I say ich lerne, I can just say ich lerne, I learn. That's a complete sentence, but it has no object. Okay, great. So that is ich becomes mir and du becomes dir. And now if I ask, wie geht es, for example, Tobias, I already talk about Tobias, so I don't want to repeat the name. Then I can just say, wie geht es ihm? Then what can you say?
Es geht ihm gut.
Yes, exactly. That's basically like him in English. And also, ihm also covers the neutral gender. So for example, if we talk about the child, das Kind in German is a neutral gender. Then I can ask, wie geht es dem Kind? And you can say?
Es geht ihm gut.
Exactly. That's same as masculine in the dative case. And for feminine, though, it's a bit different. Again, I ask you, wie geht es Luna?
Es geht ihr gut.
Exactly. So here we have ihr. So these are personal pronouns, but also articles. In this case, possessive pronouns change sometimes. So for example, in nominative case, we have dein Vater, but in the dialogue you saw, I asked, wie geht es deinem Vater, right?
Yes.
How would I ask, how is your child doing?
Wie geht es deinem Kind?
That's right. And how do I ask, how is your mother doing?
Wie geht es deiner Mutter?
Yes, make sure this R is kind of pronounced. I know you thought about it, but this R, German R is tricky, but this one you need to pronounce. Deiner Mutter. Or what you can also do is you make it slightly like letter A, deiner. But then you need to have a very proper German accent because then it's kind of smooth and okay as well. But I recommend you try to pronounce it clearly so you don't have any ambiguity. So, wie geht es deiner Mutter?
Wie geht es deiner Mutter?
Deiner.
Deiner.
Yeah, or deiner.
Deiner.
Yeah. Just make sure you don't say deine with a clear, bright E, because then it's the wrong grammar. Deiner.
Deiner.
Yeah, that will be clear. Okay. Sounds good?
Yes.
Then let's look at our dialogue one last time.
Wie geht es dir?
Mir geht es gut, danke. Und dir?
Es geht mir sehr gut. Wie geht es deinem Bruder?
Naja, es geht. Er hat viel Arbeit.
Okay. Und wie geht es deiner Mutter?
Es geht ihr gut.
Toll. Und wie geht es deinem Vater?
Es geht ihm auch gut. Danke. All right.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure. What's your question?
Could we go back?
Yes, sure.
So on the second sentence, you said, mir geht es gut. And the third sentence, we said, es geht mir sehr gut. Are they equivalent?
Well, so if you're talking about the word order, is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
That's both fine. What you need to make sure is just that the verb is in the second position, the verb gehen. Mir geht es gut or es geht mir gut are all okay. And then, of course, they're not the same in this case because one is gut and the other is sehr gut, which means very good. So in this case, you are doing even better than me, if we can trust the statement. Sounds good?
Okay, so only the verb need to fix on the order, but the subject and the object can change the order.
That's right. And actually, that is also thanks to our topic today because we have the case system with nominative and dative and accusative and genitive. Because of these endings and changes of words, we can determine the role of the word in a sentence based on how it sounds, and that gives us more flexibility. Whereas English doesn't have the cases, which is simpler, but then the words have a more fixed position in the sentence, which gives the words the role. So that's one of the advantages of these complicated cases, that we can move a lot of words around. Just make sure the verb, gehen, es geht, is in the second position. And for the question word, you would just put it in the first position, like geht es dir gut? Or if we have a question word, wie geht es dir? That's also fine. But in a statement, the verb is in the second position.
Okay.
Sounds good?
Good.
All right. Then you can now ask yourself, wie geht es deinem Freund, deinem Vater, deiner Mutter? You can ask this question also to your friends, to anyone, and practice answering that, because that's something you need to use very often when you come to any German-speaking country or interact with any German speaker, right?
Yes.
Sie, wie geht es dir?
Mir geht es gut.
All right. Let's end with that. What more to say? We wish you all a great day and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.
Cheers.